It's insane how well thought out everything that Motion makes is. This is by TBM, obviously Motion Raceworks. It's their Foxbody master cylinder adapter, and it is sick. Everything's all recessed and flush. Makes it so much easier to install with one person versus trying to hold 4 loose bolts from the backside of those holes and trying to come out here and get your nuts on without dropping everything. This thing is slick. Then once you get the plate on, your master mounts right to that. Boom. Okay, so as you can see, I installed all my countersunk bolts first, and then you might have to wiggle that thing in there depending on how lined up your brake pedal bracket is. You might have to loosen up your brake pedal bracket a little bit and wiggle it around, but it should pop right in there. I wiggled it around a little bit and then pushed it in, and that is so much easier than trying to hold a nut on one side and the bolt through the other by yourself. So I'm going to show you. Okay. Excuse the mess. It's a build. Let's see if I can get my light up in there. You can see right up there where we're talking about. That's where your bolts are going to come through. That bracket there is your brake pedal bracket. So like I said, it might take a little wiggling, but once you get 1 or 2 of them through, then you can start putting your nuts on this backside and kind of squeezing it through. Super easy. So as you can see, that's where your 4 nuts are going to be, or your studs that are popping through. I had to take a small dead blow and tap up on the actual brake pedal bracket, this whole assembly here. I tapped up on it to get this side lined up, but it popped right through when I did that. The hardest one to get to is going to be the top right. That one's a little tough to get to, but you can get to it with a socket and an extension. So coming together, boy. We got our motion column mounted up today. We got our motion shifter mounted up a while back, couple days ago. But we'll get this guy tightened down. We'll get all 4 of those tightened down, and then we'll put our master on here and we can start figuring out where we're going to plumb our brake lines. Alright, so we've got the plate all bolted up there. What I'm going to do now is trace this out. You can see that's going to have to be notched. The firewall is going to have to be notched right there. And that's to receive the master cylinder. It won't fit in there with that little lip. So I'm going to go ahead and trace that out and then get my carbide and clean that up. Alright, so now I'm up under the dash. I'm going to flip this camera around and show you guys. Probably will be some padding, and there could be some heat shield up there. Mine was just rubber and rubber in this insulation, so I just took a razor knife and trimmed that back so that my carbide doesn't get all wrapped up with that stuff. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and put some masking tape. I'm gonna go ahead and put some masking tape on my bracket so I don't gall it all up. You could pull this back off. I should have trimmed it first, or I should have held it up there first and trimmed it, but I did not. So for you guys, I would just go ahead and hold that plate up there before you put in all your bolts. Hold that plate up there and notch or mark that with a Sharpie so that you know where to trim, and you can just trim it with a body saw or a carbide, whatever. But I'm not going to pull this all back off because I hate climbing up underneath the dash. So All right, so I just, like I said, used my carbide. I masked it off and went ahead and put my boot on first. Put my boot, shit. All right, so as you can see, I got it all trimmed out. Still got some tape on there. But a carbide cutter like this will make short work of it. Did really good. I didn't even tear up the billet bracket. So now we've got our master here. You're gonna go ahead and slide this rubber boot that it comes with. Slide that down over the shaft. And it should sit, oh, sorry for my poor camera angles here. Should sit like that. You'll pull it back over this lip and it'll slide right in there. And it comes with two more nylock nuts and stainless washers to mount it up. And then the next part is our brake pedal. So I went ahead and removed our brake pedal from the assembly up underneath the dash. There's a long bolt that comes through. This side was, I want to say, a 11 millimeter, and this one was a 15. The bolt head side is the 11 and a 15 on this side. Now we need to go ahead and measure and mark this because we're going to go ahead and drill a hole which will change our fulcrum, and it's going to change our pedal ratio and the amount of pressure that the master cylinder provides to the brakes. Okay, it's we're going to manual brakes now. So if we were just to use the factory fulcrum, it would not work out well. You wouldn't have anything for brakes, or not much anyway, not enough. So we want anywhere from like 800 to 1200 psi. So we're going to go ahead and mark this on Strange's website. That's the brakes we're using are Strange. They've got a little sheet or chart you can print off. Got a little chart you can print off, and it tells you exactly where to drill your hole. So we'll go ahead and look that up real quick, mark this out, and put it in the drill press, and then we can go ahead and put our master on. All right, so I just looked it up on Strange's website. They do have the instructions, and I can include that in the description. I can include a screenshot of that or something. But basically what they're calling for is for you to measure 2 inches down from this pivot point to here, centered here, and to drill a 3/8 inch hole there, and that's going to be our new fulcrum. So we'll get this chalked up in the drill press and get going. All right, so I've got that marked out there. Just measure 2 inches down from the pivot point from the factory and centered on it. And this little, I forgot to say this little black clip is for your brake light switch. That's not going to work anymore with what we're going with. And so I went ahead and got an adjustable proportioning valve that has the brake light switch included. I'll show you guys that in a minute. There we go. All right. So now I'm going to take, and I've got my master cylinder. This is that dust boot I was telling you about. That's going to come up over that shoulder. Should sit like this. Now this is very important. We just had a guy, a well-loved guy, I mean, he'd been in the racing community for like 30 years. And big name in street racing here in Colorado, and I mean, he was one of the first guys pioneering turbo kits for the S550s when they came onto the market. A really beloved guy, like a good guy. A lot of people loved him. We just actually lost him. He passed away from a failure, a brake failure, where this jam nut was not locked in, and the shaft fell out, and he unfortunately had no brakes at, you know, almost 170 mile an hour, lost brakes. And this is a very important piece of this, okay? To inspect everything, make sure that this shaft, once you put it inside here, it should lock in. There's a ball, it's a ball shape on the end. Obviously it came separate when you bought it, and you pop that inside there, that should lock in. But this jam nut is insanely important, okay? It's important that if you've been running your car for a while to check that. But yeah, I can't stress that enough. This jam nut could save your life, or you could lose your life real quick. But yeah, his name was Mustang Danny Roberts, and it was a shame to lose somebody like that over something very simple, and it is a real life risk that we're all taking getting on the track. So yeah, we've got our shaft now. We've got our Heim joint on it, okay? We went ahead and drilled our brake pedal, which was 2 inches down from the center of the fulcrum, and that's for this specific strange master cylinder that I got from Strange. I bought the kit as far as this whole kit from Motion Raceworks, but Strange also makes one. But depending on the bore of your master cylinder is gonna be, let me bring you back here. So depending on the bore of this shaft here, right, the inside bore of this and the outside bore of the shaft that's pumping in and out, depending on that is what is going to determine your pedal ratio. So make sure to get with your brake manufacturer, whether it's TBM or Strange or Aerospace, get with them to make sure you have the proper ratio for your brake setup for the actual master cylinder that you're running, so that you get the correct pressure. So yeah, so now our 3/8 fine thread bolt that was provided in our Motion kit, this is going to mount up in the brake pedal assembly, and then we will have our Heim joint in there, and this stroke is what's going to give you your hydraulic pressure to your brakes. So again, I can't stress it enough. Make sure every single component here is tight once you've got it all adjusted. Let's go back over to the car. We'll go ahead and we'll go ahead and get the brake pedal back in first. I'll show you guys that. It's kind of a pain in the butt to get out of there, just because it's so tight. It's almost easier for you to take the brake pedal assembly out of it, but I just put in my steering column and everything, and I was being lazy and don't want to take it out. So that the brake pedal slides up into the center of here. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's see if I can get a better picture here. See if we can look back up in there and see. But that space up there is where your brake pedal is going to be. Okay, and then you'll have your through bolt. You'll have your through bolt that'll hold it in. So let's get that back in. All right, I'm going to try to show you guys here. You can see that shiny nut up there, right? That's that 3/8 hole we drilled, okay? That's the new fulcrum. And that's where your Heim is going to hook up, all right? So I put the pedal back in the mount. That bolt is way up top there. One side is a 10 millimeter and one side is a 14. So I went ahead and got our pivot back in. And then what I did was I pulled my pedal back to the resting position where it would be, and I spun my heim out to line up with that bolt, okay? The furthest point out, right? I went ahead and pulled that out, adjusted my heim out, slid my 3/8 bolt through, and got that good and tight. And we'll probably end up putting like a manual backstop on it as well, so that it can't travel back this way. If the pedal, for whatever reason, your foot got hung up underneath it or whatever, and you pulled back on it, it could possibly pull the ball end of that shaft out of your master cylinder. To go in and put a bracket with a bolt that's adjustable for a backstop. But yeah, you can see, like I said, I really like this design because it makes it a lot easier for somebody to do it by themselves with all these flush mount bolts. So I would recommend that you get them good and tight when you put them in the plate itself. Put a little bit of blue Loctite on there and get them good and tight before you go to try to tighten them from the backside, because if you don't get these tight and you try to tighten the nut from the backside, these will spin out. So what I did was I just put a little bit of blue Loctite towards the end of the threads, put them in the plate, tighten them down good in the plate, and then fit them through. But yeah, besides trimming the firewall a little bit, it's honestly one of the easiest modifications I've done lately. But that's the Motion Raceworks Foxbody manual brake adapter kit. And then this is a Strange master cylinder. You can either get that through Strange or you can buy it through Motion as well. And that's going to be running our Strange brakes. But hopefully that helps somebody out there. If you're questioning where to drill your pedal or anything, remember, go on Strange's website, look up the master cylinder that you're using, and go off of that. When you're using either Motions or the master swap from Strange, because they also make a plate and adapter for it, it's going to be 2 inches down from the original shaft, or the original fulcrum. You're going to measure 2 inches down, and that's where your 3/8 bolt is going to go through. Make sure all your hardware is tight. Make sure you have a backstop, something to where the pedal can't travel too far back and pop that shaft out. So yeah, hopefully this helps somebody. Thanks for watching.